fellow YouTubers, JJ the Trucker coming to you from North Dakota. Where in North Dakota? Well, does it matter? It all looks the same. Of course, I'm just kidding. We just left the pilot in Mandan, North Dakota, which is just outside of Bismarck, so we're actually going to be going through Bismarck during this video, I believe. So, a couple things, just kind of killing two birds with one stone here. Number one, I've gotten, since my last video when I told you guys, where I was at and where I was heading through North Dakota, it's only my second time through. The first time was at night, and now I get to actually see it during the daytime. So a little interesting, and I just got to North Dakota not too long ago, about an hour ago, so got a little bit to go here. But a lot of you guys wanted to see some scenery from North Dakota, so having just left the pilot, I just got the windshield cleaned off, so hopefully we can get some video in before we get some bugs. Now it is a little cooler up here, so hopefully the bugs are still asleep. Let's hope so, fingers crossed. But the other thing I really wanted to touch upon was basically the process I went through to get this new truck. I know a lot of people are not pro lease. Some people really prefer financing or buying a used truck. Lots of different options out there. So I want to tell you basically the 6 different options that were available to me and what I ended up going through to end up with this truck. And also I want to talk to you about the process that I used to actually get this truck through Success Leasing. There are a couple of different processes that you can do, and this process is what was one that I was not familiar with, did not know about. So all right, we got a little construction zone here. Give me a second. And it is just a little construction zone. So, oh man, where to begin? All right, so, I already knew that the lease that I was on was basically just a walk-away lease. It's almost like a rental. You're making your payments, you're considered an owner-op, even though you don't own the truck, you're leasing it, and there is no way that truck is going to be yours. Well, I won't say there's no way, but really the truck's not going to be yours at the end of the lease. So you put in your time, you make your payments for until the lease is completed, which is 3 years from when the truck was first started to be leased. And then that's it. You turn it in and you walk away from it. You get a lease completion bonus. It's not a whole lot of money. It's something. It's not bad, but it's not a whole lot of money. It's not like owning your own truck or anything like that. You can at that point put down $14,000 and do the lease for 2 more years and end up having that truck as your own. But now it's a 5-year-old truck. You've way overpaid for it. That plan doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Might as well just go ahead and turn it in and get you another truck. So with that in mind, I already knew from the very beginning that truck, that maroon truck, burgundy truck, black cherry, whatever color you want to call it, that truck was not going to be mine. That was never the plan or the intention. And, but it was a good starter plan. I really do appreciate the fact that Prime has that option, because it's a good starter plan to get people into the mindset of being an owner-op, what it's like, what it takes, with still being able to walk away from that lease with no penalty whatsoever. And that is really, really nice. Let's see here. Slowing down a little. Alright, so next plan obviously was truck ownership, and that's what I was really, really interested in. I really wanted to own my own truck. Now, what are the options? I can save up. I did save up my money. I actually had quite a bit that I had saved up. Plus, I came into this whole venture with money behind me as well. So, the options: buy a used truck, an older used truck, or buy a brand new truck, or buy a truck that's only a few years old, or lease a truck. Okay? Of those options, first of all, I really do like Prime. They do have some sticklers and some rules and all that stuff, and I get that. They are really picky with what trucks you can bring into their fleet. They've got a list of requirements and specifications. Pretty much means that older trucks were out, hood trucks were out. Okay, so I know I get a lot of comments about the older trucks and the hood trucks. Yeah, that's always an option. But first of all, I'm not a fan of owning an older truck for myself, because I don't want to be doing the mechanic work. I'm kind of halfway decent at mechanics on a car, with basics. But I'm still a pretty new truck driver, and I'm not a real heavy mechanic. Plus, I really don't want to be dealing with that kind of stuff anyway. So for me, maybe down the road, after I get a lot of experience with that kind of stuff and dealing with that, maybe then would I consider an older truck. But, if you're going to get an older truck, you really, in order to make it economically worthwhile, you have to have that knowledge, experience, and desire to be able to work on it on your own and not have to take it into a shop every time something goes wrong. If you're doing that, you will absolutely lose money. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. But if you know how to work on an older truck, hey, you can actually save a whole lot of money. So keep that in mind. But with Prime, and I definitely wanted to stay with Prime, I wanted to stay under their authority, older trucks are out. Hood trucks are also out. They have a wheelbase requirement. So any hood truck is just out of it. You pretty much have to do an aero truck. So as much as
either of the two left lanes.
Thank you, Nagatha. So as much as those hood trucks are really, really nice, I hear they're smooth rides. Plus, I love the looks of them. Especially those 389s. They're just, you can't be under Prime's authority, and I definitely wanted to stay under Prime's authority. If you don't like that decision, too bad. That's my choice. That's my decision. I like being under Prime's authority. All right, at least for right now and for the foreseeable few years, that's my choice. All right. So now we're looking at a truck that's only going to be a few years old, or a brand new truck. Purchase or lease. All right. Let's go through the options here. Financing your own truck is usually going to be a better deal than leasing a truck. Even Prime's or Success Leasing's lease purchase program, mostly due to the interest rate. You're going to be paying a lot less. Your payments are going to be less, but you also have a much higher down payment. Okay, Success Leasing, your down payment is $14,000. Plus, if you custom order your truck, any additional custom options. So you might be looking at upwards of maybe $20,000. I mean, if you get the thing fully tricked out, we're talking maybe $22,000. In a finance situation for a new truck, you're looking at about $30,000 to $35,000 down. So more than twice that, twice the amount of a lease. But your truck payment's going to be monthly instead of weekly. Your truck payment's going to be lower, and most likely your interest rate is going to be lower. With Success Leasing, my interest rate is about 10 point something. I don't remember if it's 10.2 or 10.9. It's in the 10 range. Okay. With financing, depending on your credit, you can usually get that a bit lower. Now, I'll tell you this: if you're financing and you don't have great credit, and your interest rate's going to be higher. Well, is it really worth it to finance? I don't think so, because you're going to end up spending more. You'll have a really high down payment. Your monthly payment will be lower. But does that matter if you end up paying more out of pocket anyway because of the interest? No, might as well go for the lease. Plus, the lease is still walk away. Got to keep that in mind. Finance, you can't walk away. You have to sell that truck. If you want to walk away, you've got to deal with that, selling that truck, and you're going to be upside down for quite a while. So you could end up losing a lot of money. it's a risk, and the reward is worth it if you're going to be paying less due to financing. All right. With the lease option, it's pure walk away. I can walk away from this truck anytime I want and not have to pay any penalties. I will lose my down payment, my $14,000 down payment, but that is it. Really, that is literally it. So, all right, moving on. I had about 5 or 6 different plans of what I was going to do. I did want to start out with the financing. Right now, due to the Rona going around and all the perks and everything, of course, you got the PPP loan, and everybody knows about that. Well, there was a small business association loan that they were doing, where if you qualify for it, and it's specifically for equipment type purchases, which a truck is equipment, then you can make your purchase, and the SBA would pay for the first 6 months. They would completely waive the first 6 months of payments. Not deferred. I did double check on that. I said, you mean deferred, right? They go, no. They will pay your first 6 months of payments. Okay, let's go for that. Interest rate was in the high 6s on that one. I said, all right, let's go for that. Had to go through my bank to do that. And it was a process. Man, that was such a process. The other option, of course, was conventional loan through my bank. So they went ahead and did a 2-for-1. They said, "Well, try for the SBA loan. If not, we've got the conventional, type auto loan we can try and go for." So, man, that process was crazy. Lots of paperwork needed. I needed to get with my CPA. They had to do a consolidation report, also known as a P&L, or profit and loss. There was a lot of paperwork I had to compile and get turned into the bank. It was a royal pain in the butt. It took over a month to get all of this done and to get it into their hands. And then it took about a week and a half for them to finally come back and give me a decision. And the decision was, no, not going to happen. Why? 2 reasons, and I didn't qualify for either of the loans because of these 2 reasons. One, I do have a bankruptcy on my credit report. It's about 5 years old. Okay, but my credit since then has been outstanding. My credit is in the mid 700s. Okay, about 740ish. Okay. Which is really good, especially considering a bankruptcy being on there for only 5 years. But 5 years out of a bankruptcy, that's good enough to where your credit is still considered pretty okay. And especially getting a secured loan, because this is a truck, it's considered a secure loan. But they said 2 things. No, they weren't going to do it because of the bankruptcy, for one. And 2, here's a weird situation. So, as y'all know, I live in Vegas, but I used to live out in St. Louis. I lived in St. Louis for 10 years. Ended up with the bank out there that I really, really liked. So when I moved back to Vegas, I just kept my bank, my St. Louis bank, Commerce Bank. And they've been a good bank, on the personal side. I just started doing business with them, the business checking and business savings and all that stuff, starting this year with this business. And that has just been a challenge. They're great on the personal side, but man, their business side is not great. But because they only do business in the Midwest, it was already a challenge saying, hey, my business is based in the Midwest. It's based out of Springfield, Missouri. My LLC is in Missouri. So you should be able to do business, and they have. They processed the PPP loan for me and all that stuff, which also threw them royal pain in the butt. But anyways, moving on. So their second reason for declining me, though, was because I live in Vegas. They felt that if I defaulted on the payment, they didn't want to have to go all the way out to Vegas to repo the truck. I'm thinking, well, first of all, you don't really know how trucking works because I probably won't be in Vegas if that were to happen. But hey, maybe. But second of all, what about loyalty? I'd been banking with them for 15 years. 15 years with them. And never defaulted on anything, never late on any payments at all. Nothing. But nope. They're like, no, we're just not gonna take that chance. Sorry. So there we go. Option 1 and option 2 of financing out the window. That was it. Goodbye. All right. Option 3, financing through a dealership. So I spoke with a number of dealerships. Spoke with Springfield Peterbilt. Spoke with which was the Larson Group, by the way. Spoke with Rush Peterbilt and another Peterbilt, basically Salt Lake area, as well as Vegas, back home. Tried going through all of that, but it was the same type of thing. With them, though, they were okay with the bankruptcy. They were okay with where I lived and all that stuff. But for them, the issue was that this was a first-time truck purchase. I had never purchased a truck before. All right, so here we go. And excuse number 3 of why they don't want to give me money. They said that they would be okay with financing me for a lower amount, a much lower amount. I would have had to get a 4-year-old truck. And with what Prime requires as far as, their age requirements and safety requirements, there really were no trucks that met the specifications. Nothing. So, and I wasn't really looking at getting a 4-year-old truck, because at 4 years old, that's when problems start happening, breakdowns, as much as I do like the emission systems, the use of them, it is true that they do have more problems, especially in 4-year-old, trucks in that type of, age range. So I definitely didn't want to go down that route. And again, with, sticking with Prime, really couldn't do that anyway. So there we go. So now financing options are pretty much out the window. One more financing option. All right, let's go with number 4. Plan number 4, getting a used truck from Prime through Pedigree. Okay? Pedigree is another division of Prime, like Success Leasing is, but they, lane change here, but they, instead of leasing trucks, they do used truck sales. Okay, all their trucks are under warranty. They're still fairly new. They've been used and maintained by Prime, so it's all good. I've heard a lot of good things regarding them, about Pedigree, including from Junior Honduras himself. So I figured, all right, let's check that option, because I still want to do, I still want to look into the finance options, and at least this way the truck will be even less per month, less down, etc., etc. Pedigree said nope. Their excuse, here comes excuse number 4. Remember, we had bankruptcy was 1, where I lived was number 2, first truck purchase was number 3. Their excuse was they want to see 2 years of driving experience. And as y'all know, I only have 1 year. So that was it. That was my last real financing option to finance a truck. So now we're looking at the lease option. And I thought I only had the one option left, and that was just order the truck through Success Leasing. Normal turnaround time is about 5 months. So I talked to them. I go through the process. I put the order in, customized my truck, the color, the Peterbilt, and everything. And I get a call from them, and they say, "Well, right now we are still a little behind, and because you are not at the end of your lease, you got to prioritize people who are at the end of their lease, because those people, they need a truck. And also because I'm new, I don't really have a lot of seniority. It's going to take 7 months to get my truck. 7 months. I'm like, man, every month that I'm in that maroon truck, I'm losing money. I'm not gaining, equity or capital in my truck. I'm literally just paying Prime for the privilege of using it, which is okay. I'm just not, I'm not making any money off of that. So I was almost resigned to it, and I was like, man, I go onto the site, the Success Leasing site, and they've got trucks there, trucks that are there and available, and and they're used. I'm like, what about any of these trucks? Can't any of these trucks be used for the lease purchase? And they go, no, those are all set for regular leases. They've already started the lease process. And I said, I just don't want to wait 7 months. I just don't want to do that. I really don't. And I said, well, sometimes we still have open trucks at the Freightliner dealership that are, available. They haven't been, they've been ordered by Prime, but they haven't quite been purchased yet. So since they haven't been purchased, they can still be purchased for walkaway lease or lease purchase. I'm like, ooh, okay. How do we find out? So somebody else had to call me back. And they called me back. They said, I guess you're looking for, a truck to get right away for lease purchase. Yep. I said, I hear you may have something at the Freightliner dealership. I said, a Peterbilt is really what I'm looking for. But, you know what, I really want to get this process going. Freightliner, I'd at least look at that option. They go, all right, well, it's super rare for us to have Peterbilts, but let's go ahead and check. I'll go ahead and check on that. I'll give you a call back. 10 minutes later, she calls me back saying, all right, I just sent you an email. We have, I think it was like 10 or 12 Peterbilts sitting at the dealership waiting for us. What color do you want? Really? Seriously? Yeah. So, the color I wanted was available, obviously, as you have all seen. The only downside is there's nothing custom about them. It is the base model because these are meant to either be purchased as company trucks, company driver trucks, or your walkaway lease type trucks. Right? So no custom options at all. That was a bummer. But that's okay, that was perfectly fine. I went ahead and picked out my the color that I wanted, sent them the down payment, $14,000. They got the truck ready. It did take about 2.5, almost 3 total weeks for it to be completely ready. Mostly because it was a holiday week with Labor Day, and they were really busy. A lot of truck transfers going on. They said normally that process only takes about a week. So, yeah. Check that out. 1 second here. Of course, four-wheeler sees my blinkers like, nope, I'm going to pass you first. Alright. So yeah, that is the process I went through. 6 different options. Ended up choosing option 5. It was the last choice I knew about, but the 7-month wait ended up being the last resort if I had to do that. Oh man, so yeah, there you have it. That is what I went through in order to get this truck and the process that I took. Now, the process of actually picking up the truck and the delivery did not go smoothly. I'm not happy with Success Leasing on that portion of it. The contracts part is really easy. I will say this. Here's the positives first. The contract was super easy. The process of the paperwork and qualifying and everything is easy. As long as you have been leasing with Success Leasing for 3 months, you qualify. That's it. There's no credit checks. There's no excuses. Nothing. You are already qualified just for being under Prime's authority and leasing with Success Leasing for 3 months, which both of those I had done. I put down the $14,000. I simply wired the money to them. That was a piece of cake. That was done. The contract it's all online. Very simple. I did it on my phone. It's one of the easiest contracts I've done since starting this business. I won't say one of the easiest. I'll say the easiest. It was that simple, quick, efficient. So kudos to Success Leasing for thinking of drivers, who don't have printers and access to fax machines and all that, and scanners and all that stuff on their trucks, and they know that, trying to find a UPS store or a FedEx place, with truck parking is not easy. So they made sure to do it all online. So simple. Thank you very much for that. The process I had a problem with was with delivery. They said the truck, well, first they said the truck was going to be ready on a certain day. It wasn't. They were really behind, so I went back out on the road, came back a week later. They said it was ready, but it really wasn't. I'm going to do a separate video on that because there's a lot to talk about there. Oh, man. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. Why I ended up doing the lease. A little bit more on this lease, as I had already mentioned. $14,000 down. It's still a walk away. Another really good benefit about this lease, a lot of people think, oh, don't lease with a mega carrier or with any carrier because you're tied to them now for 3 years. Not the case. I can go under my own authority with this truck anytime I want to. And I can also go to another carrier. I can take this truck and go to another carrier as long as the payments are made. There are some stipulations. The carrier has to directly make the payments to Success Leasing. Okay, it's almost like a wage garnishment type thing, if you will. But it's really no different than what's going on now. I don't get paid by Prime and then turn around and make a payment to Success Leasing. It's taken right out of my settlement. So it would be no different. I would just have to find a carrier that would be willing and okay to do that. But that's it. From what I understand, a lot of carriers have no issues with doing that. And again, I can always go under my own authority. If I go under my own authority, then I would be making the payments directly to Success Leasing. But yeah, that is definitely an option. So I am not tied down to Prime. Okay? Even though in my 5-year plan, I'm still with Prime, I know things can change, which again is why I really like these options that Success Leasing has. I don't have to be tied down to Prime if something happens. I don't even have to be tied down to this lease if something drastic happens. I can walk away, which I cannot do in a finance. So overall, I really think Success Leasing and Prime have really thought about these bad leases and lease pitfalls and made it really appealing to the drivers to make it to where it's beneficial. This is a good lease. It really is, and I've spoken to a lot of drivers who actually have completed their lease and own their own trucks, trucks, including fleets. So it's definitely a possibility. You just have to, stick with it and love what you're doing. And here we are, 1 year into it. I love what I'm doing. I really, really do. And I hope my videos reflect that because, man, I really enjoy this. So, all right, without further ado, I hope you enjoyed the scenery of North Dakota. It's pretty flat all the way around. A little bit of hills here and there. No major mountains, just little ups and downs. But I can see for miles and miles and miles. I feel like Tommy. If you get that reference, please comment down below and let us know, especially if you stuck around this long. That is awesome. Thank you very much for listening. As always, you see it right there in the middle. You see my face. If you are not subscribed to me yet, please click on my face, subscribe, hit that notification bell while you're at it, and if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. I will see you all on the flip side. Later.